Podcast Mustafa through the police body cams, Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to play the bond hearing from court. And this proceeding is on August 7, 2023. This is a bond hearing. We have the audio of the prosecutor, what the prosecutor is saying about Mustafa, what the judge is saying about Mustafa. And the community is going to hear how the prosecutor is flat out lying about Mustafa. And we're going to take you all the way back to the first bond hearing that Mustafa had on August 7, 2023. Now, when you listen to this audio recording, keep in mind two things. And what you'll hear is the defense attorney, Casey Stevens, sabotaged the case. And he sabotaged the case by playing the wrong portion in the audio recording, an irrelevant part to the audio recording. He doesn't play the whole thing. And when he plays a portion of it, he plays an irrelevant portion in the audio. Mustafa clearly tells the investigator, there was no argument inside the vehicle. I was not arguing with Dorothy. But the investigator falsified Mustafa's statement, and he put in the police report that you told me there's an argument. You told me that you were angry at your girlfriend. Even though there's an audio, you'll hear it. Casey Stevens played the wrong portion to the judge. That the judge was so shocked, he said, this doesn't show anything. And then Sarah Sammy is using an individual, and she's fabricating lies about Mustafa, who we have evidence those are lies about Mustafa. She's using a local crazy person in our community, and she makes up a story, and she says that Mustafa gave this guy a ride, wrecked the vehicle, and gave this guy a brain injury. That the judge is so horrified that he says, absolutely not. Based on the evidence, you should get a bond, but because of this, I'm not giving you a bond. Now, this is a lie. This guy is a local crazy person. Does this guy have a brain injury? Yes, he has a brain injury. But he doesn't have it from a vehicle accident. He has it from, he used to be in the Air Force. He fell out of a plane, and he has a brain injury. The problem here for this prosecutor is she lied about this situation, and she brought this guy, and where is the incident report? Where is this vehicle accident that you're talking about? It doesn't exist. It never happened. It does not exist. This guy is the local crazy guy in our community, in our town. He's caught chasing after police, biting police officers. One time, they chased him from one gas station into another gas station. On the record, he's caught lying to police. I mean, he had a whole entire rap sheet of convictions. Like, straight up, this is the crazy guy in our hometown. She's using this guy and is fabricating and building a story, and we have evidence that these are all lies. That the prosecutor now is terrified to bring it back up. And she thought that she can pretend that she never said anything. Well, this lie is the reason that Mustafa's bond was denied on August 7, 2023. And we have your voice talking about it. So keep in mind, this situation and the situation with Casey Stevens, the attorney who was working with the investigator, took our money and behind closed doors is working with the investigator and actively sabotaged Mustafa's case. On that note, let's listen to the audio.
Did you see your attorney?
No, sir.
Morning.
Mr. Allen, Jerry, three counts of involuntary manslaughter and one count of malicious wounding. This is an accident case, a traffic accident case. where the right front passenger was driving, and the right rear passenger regretfully succumbed to their injuries as a result of this tragic accident. The judgment call his brother, Muhammad al-Jazari, justified for the result of the court's decision.
Before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Would you please state your full name?
It's Muhammad al-Jazari.
What is your relationship, if any, to
So Muhammad takes the stand, and Casey Stevens is going to be asking him a bunch of questions, and then the prosecutor is going to be asking him a bunch of questions. Muhammad is Mustafa's brother, so he takes a stand, and he's going to be testifying.
Mustafa's my younger brother. Yes, sir.
Could you tell the court how long have you know that Mustafa has been living in Prince William County?
Mustafa's been in Prince William County for, I believe, a few months.
Been living a few months. Where did you live prior to this?
He lived at home in Stafford.
And who lives there with you?
Both my parents, my older brother, my older sister, and then my younger brother and my younger sister.
And how long have you been living in Stafford?
We've lived in Stafford since 2005, at that address since 2007.
With respect to that, does your brother have any family? And by that I mean any children or wife?
No, sir.
He's single. At the time of this accident, do you know who he was living with?
Yes, he was living with Dorothy in Prince William County.
All right, and Dorothy was one of the individuals that died in this accident.
Yes, sir.
And what does your brother do for a living?
He sells medical equipment.
Okay.
He has his own business.
Self-employed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. Now, with respect to this particular accident, were you, did you assist your brother in surrendering when the warrants were issued in this matter?
Yes, sir. He was at our Stafford home.
Okay. And from the date of the accident to the time he was served with the warrants, how much time had gone by?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
How many days went by before he was actually arrested for these charges after the accident, traffic accident?
He was arrested 2 days after he was released from the hospital. He was at home, and then he was arrested from his home.
And during that period of time, are you aware of him having contact with law enforcement regarding these matters?
Yes, sir.
Were you present during a period of time when he was interviewed by phone by Detective Drum or Investigator Drum?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you overheard him speaking to Mr. Drum about matters?
Yes, sir.
This case?
Mr. Drum called my cell phone and requested to speak to my brother. And at the time I was driving, so as soon as I got home, I called Mr. Drum and I told him that my brother was present at home.
Okay, and that's when you spoke to him at that time?
Yes, sir.
Very good. That's all I have with this week.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So Casey Stevens asked Muhammad to understand. Muhammad is Mustafa's brother, older brother, and he asked him, "How long you been living in Stafford? Where does Mustafa live? General questions." Now, background to all of this is Mustafa knows Dorothy for 3 months. 3 months. Mustafa moved in with Dorothy 2 months into the relationship. Now, when I say moved in, he doesn't live there like all the time. He has a home. So he's back and forth, He goes there, he comes home, he goes there, he comes. This prosecutor is pretending. I mean, you'll hear her. She's like, "Did you say that he lives at Dorothy or does he live at home?" Lady, what are you talking about? Mustafa has a home. He comes here, he goes there. What are you even asking? It's frustrating.
It is that your brother had been living in Prince William for a couple months.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, was that before or after April 5th when this occurred?
It was before.
It was before, and you indicated he was living with Dorothy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that your brother told Investigator Drum he didn't live with Dorothy?
I'm not sure.
None different.
Would it surprise you to know that Mustafa told the investigator he does not live with Dorothy? When did the investigator talk to Mustafa? Mustafa was in a coma, helicopter to the hospital. He wakes up in the hospital and find out that he lost his family. You have an investigator guarding the door. You have the main investigator yelling at the family that's in the hospital lobby, telling mom specifically, you can't go back there. And if you go back there or ask about your son, one more time, I'm going to drag you off the property. We have those body cams where they're on the internet. And then he goes into Mustafa's room while another officer is guarding the door. And he begins interrogating Mustafa, asking Mustafa questions. The nurse comes in, and she partakes in this interrogation. We have those body cams. And she identifies herself as law enforcement. Now, mind you, Mustafa just woke up from a coma. And they're interrogating Mustafa. Mind you, they injected Mustafa with 50 mcg of fentanyl. I have the documents that paramedic injected Mustafa. Now, 50 mcg of F will knock you out for 9 hours. How is it legal to interrogate someone that just came out from a major concussion, a coma, that you've injected him with 50 mcg of fentanyl? How is it legal? I mean, this doesn't happen in third world countries. And when you hear about it, you're like, this only happens in Russia, China, third world countries. But it's happening here in Prince William County. It happened in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And this prosecutor is asking, would it surprise you to tell you that Mustafa said he doesn't live with Dorothy? He doesn't. Lady, what are you talking about? For 2 years, you never told the court that Mustafa was injected with 50 mcg of fentanyl. And that your officer interrogated him. As a matter of fact, I have the other recording of the other proceeding under Judge Weimer, where Judge Weimer rules out that this is not an interrogation. Really? It's not an interrogation? The family is being yelled at in the hallway, being threatened under duress that they're going to be arrested or dragged off the property if they ask for their loved one. Their loved one is inside the room with an officer guarding the door, interrogating him while the nurse is identifying herself as law enforcement, and this individual is under 50 mcg of fentanyl. And that's not interrogation? Okay. Why was Mustafa not read his Miranda rights? Why was Mustafa not Mirandized? I mean, the more you look into this, it's disturbing. Judge Weimer said this is not an interrogation because he sealed off the body cams and he thought that these body cams were never going to be released out to the community. Well, they're out now, Judge Weimer, and the community is going to be listening to your bond hearing. And they're going to be asking, how is this not an interrogation, sir? How did you rule that this is not an interrogation? Sure looks like an interrogation. An illegal interrogation. Now, when you watch these body cams, when Mustafa was being interrogated, what do you see? You see that Mustafa was broken, was crying, and all he was doing is asking for his family. He says, where am I at? Where's my family? Where's my girlfriend? Where's 5-year-old Empress? Throughout the whole entire time. Now, investigators are sitting there telling him for 4 hours that your family is okay, we're taking care of him, even though his family was already unalived. but they're lying to him. And then Chad Mason, the main investigator, comes in and he's recording on his body cam, hoping that that the 50 mcg of fentanyl kicked in where Mustafa is so out of it that when he tells him 4 hours later, he's been telling him your family is okay. That when he tells him your family has been dead 4 hours ago, that Mustafa is so out of it because of the fentanyl that he's not going to have a reaction. When he sees that Mustafa is crying, on body cam, you see Mustafa is crying, Mustafa is broken. Of course, that body cam gets sealed. They get a judge order to seal it. It's not good enough. He didn't get the reaction. Chad Mason didn't get the reaction he was hoping for. He was hoping that he's going to get a reaction that Mustafa is so out of it because of the 50 mcg of fentanyl that he can take that body cam to prosecutor Sarah Sammy and says, look at this monster. He didn't have a reaction. He did not care about his family when we told him his family was gone. But when they see that Mustafa is crying and is broken and all he's doing is asking for his family, they seal off that body cam. And Chad Mason falsified the police report, the hospital police report, and he says Mustafa did not care about his family. I mean, that's terrifying. And this prosecutor is worried about whether he said he lives with Dorothy, he lives at home. That's your main concern? Not the 50 mcg that your police officer injected him with while interrogating him? Oh, and you sealed off the body cam. So no one can verify what's what anymore. Unfortunately for you, we have that body cam. This is the body cam from the hospital.
Where's that at?
And you can see that before Chad Mason go into our room, there's a back and forth, and Chad Mason is shushing Mustafa. He's doing this. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, he's shutting Mustafa. You can see him, like, this back and forth, where he's shushing Mustafa before he unmutes his body cam. And then he goes in and tell Mustafa that your family has been gone 4 hours ago. And he's hoping that he's going to get he's not going to get a reaction. Hopefully that the fentanyl kicked in. You know how much 50 mcg of fentanyl? 9 hours, you're out of it. And when they don't get the reaction that they're waiting for, they seal off the body cam, and he falsified Mustafa's reaction. I mean, in this body cam, you see a broken Mustafa, a Mustafa that's crying, and he falsified the police report. He said he did not care about his family when we told him that your family was deceased.
Upstairs here at the hospital.
Two years. They don't talk about the document, the paramedic, where they shows that they injected Mustafa with 50 mcg of fentanyl.
Alright, so the little girl, she's stable right now. She's upstairs here at the hospital. She's stable right now. Okay? Her mom, your girlfriend, she didn't make it. She's dead.
Mind you, for 4 hours they've been telling him your family's okay. But his girlfriend, Dorothy, has been dead 4 hours ago, but they've been lying to Mustafa. I mean, fucking zoom in. I want to zoom in. Let's see if I can zoom in. this is so disturbing. Let's see if I can zoom in. Yep.
Alright, so the little girl, she's stable right now. She's upstairs here at the hospital. She's stable right now. Okay? Her mom, your girlfriend, she didn't make it. She's dead. She died at about 7 o'clock.
Chad Mason says he did not care about his family when we told him that his family was deceased. That's the police report. And that's the police report that they want to show the jury. By the way, they sealed off the body cam because that's not the reaction that they wanted. They thought that the 50 mcg of fentanyl was going to kick in, that he's so out of it, and they're going to take this body cam to prosecutor Sarah Sammy and tell her, look at this monster. He didn't care. So what did they do instead? Chad Mason falsified the police report, seal off the body cam. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth seals off the body cam. And what the jury is going to be told is he didn't care. They're just going to show them the police report. They're going to seal off that body cam from the jury too. And they want to give them the police report that Chad Mason wrote. He didn't care. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, all she's worried about is, would it surprise you to believe that he told investigators that he lives with Dorothy and not a home? That's what you're worried about? Lady, he has a home. He lives here and he lives there. What are you doing? You've got the papers that I'm looking at. You got the same papers that he's on 50 mcg of fentanyl. Why is your police officer interrogating a man on 50 mcg of fentanyl, a man that just came out of a major coma, that just came out of a major concussion, a man that just lost his family? How is this legal? You're worried about what he said to the police? Oh, does he live at home? Does he live with his girlfriend? Look at him.
Yes.
Can you rewind it just a little bit?
Your brother.
That's all I have with this week.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You indicated that your brother had been living in Prince William for a couple months.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was that before or after April 5th when this occurred?
It was before.
It was before?
Yes,
And you
ma'am.
indicated he was living with Dorothy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that your brother told investigator Drunk he didn't live with Dorothy?
I'm not sure.
That'd be fine.
Judge, with that, there was a body camera, excuse me, a dash camera was in the position. Each of these recordings is approximately 8 seconds. That's to play this report.
write it down on the phone. Sometimes you have it in mind, but it's not on the phone. Well, me either.
Ask the
You
judge.
want to come tomorrow?
No, I've already seen it.
If you, Ms. Taylor, we don't have that, but there's no audio.
Before you start, you have any questions, you can tell them to clarify on this problem.
No, Your Honor.
Yes, the driver of the vehicle is the ground there.
Which vehicle?
It's the vehicle, this vehicle has a camera going out the front
And
windshield.
so we're looking at it from the car that he was
From
driving.
the driver's perspective, yes, sir. Okay.
So now, what I understand
Yes,
that.
sir. I have from the interior of the car.
Was an argument going on or something like that inside? Is that?
Send her up from the tablet, it'll play. The Commonwealth, it's my understanding that this dash cam does record sound, but the Commonwealth in possession of it has been unable to recover.
See what he tells the judge? He says, Casey Stevens says to the judge that this dash camera has audio, but the Commonwealth attorney says it doesn't have audio. Now, what's disturbing in this whole entire case is there's a document in the discovery that says Officer Zymes with digital forensic says there is a clear audio track in this dash camera. That this camera has audio. Where is the audio? I mean, for 2 years, they say there is no audio. And then you open the discovery, you find the document that says Officer Zymes that handled the dash camera says the audio is there. It's on the SD card, and they're in possession. The police department is in possession of the SD card in this dash camera. So why are they not coming out with the audio? I mean, you're talking about a situation where they're terrified of the evidence. The prosecutor, you'll hear her in this bond motion argue that your client, Mustafa, said I was arguing inside the court. That Mustafa said he was angry at Dorothy inside the vehicle. This is what the investigator is saying. Now, Casey Stevens, he's arguing that, Your Honor, no. Mustafa never said that. But then he sabotages the case by playing the wrong portion of the audio. That the judge is telling him, what you're playing to me is irrelevant. It doesn't demonstrate that Mustafa never said. I'm going to play that portion really quick. So that when you're listening to this proceeding, you understand what's going on. And how are they really getting away with this BS? Let's see. I think it's this one.
Have you ever tried to scare your girlfriend by driving in oncoming traffic before?
I would never in my life or in any shape, way, or form ever put like the person that I love or I care about or any human being or even anything in harm's way, like anything. I would never ever do that. And
Okay.
this person means the world to me.
this is one portion of the audio. There's another part.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but you're probably tracking your mileage.
I just was gonna ask you about the kids.
So this is a 32-minute audio. Trying to get to the part where.
You're a human being.
Listen.
Moses, and there are an ungodly amount of witnesses that saw you driving down the road, that everything was absolutely fine. And then you turn in.
Let's go back a little bit. Okay.
And I still want.
Mind you, the dash camera showed this is a vehicle accident. The dash camera showed that he was trying to pass the vehicle in front of him. You've got multiple witnesses on scene that say it looked like he was trying to pass the vehicle in front of him. We heard him hit the brake. But they lie and they say, I mean, even Drum, when you listen to Drum, he tells him, it looks like you're passing the car in front of you. But then he's like, he lies about the content of the dash camera. He says, you were arguing inside the vehicle. There's no argument inside the vehicle. There is no argument inside the vehicle. But Mustafa, you were arguing. And then Mustafa's like, I was not arguing. There is no argument. Let's listen. And then he ends up just falsifying Mustafa's statement on the police report. This is the audio of the conversation between Mustafa and the investigator.
You're concerned for them and their well-being. Why, when you get out of the hospital, did you go pick them up from the apartment and take them over to a neighbor's house? Why not stay with them why not just stay with them at home?
Like I was in like excruciating pain, and I still walked. I still walked because like that's more important, like more than anything.
Okay, who's taking care of you right now?
Right now,
Mind you, Mustafa just woke up from a coma. Mustafa had a major concussion. Mustafa was injected by the paramedic with 50 mcg of fentanyl. So, and all he did is he wants to know if the kids are good. Where's my family? Where's the kids? Is the kids? So when he was released from the hospital, we wanted to take Mustafa home. Mustafa wanted to go make sure the kids are good. And we're sitting there. Like, Mustafa is in no condition to take care of himself, not alone take care of the kids. And there was a neighbor there. By the way, there's a whole video of the whole that night that my other brother Muhammad recorded. And now they're terrified because there's a video of the whole night. They want to lie about they were saying that Mustafa ran away from the police. When in fact Mustafa was he was in a coma, helicopter to the hospital. The police checked his blood, no alcohol, no drugs. They ended up releasing Mustafa from the hospital. And Mustafa's priority is to make sure the kids are good. And this is what he's asking Mustafa. I mean, mind you, this kid, Mustafa, is on 50 mcg of fentanyl. He's out of it. And still, with everything that's going on, his priority is his family. They wanted to lie about that night. But Muhammad, my other brother, has a video of the whole night. And I put that video on the internet.
family, my mom, my family.
John Stafford?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I just was going to ask you about the kids. I didn't want CPS to take them and separate them. I wanted them to be like, all together, like at the neighbor's house. So I trusted that. She told me that, they're going to be okay.
Okay. Well, hey, again, I work for the crash unit.
All of a sudden, he doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Work on the crash, and there are an ungodly amount of witnesses that saw you driving down the road, that everything was absolutely fine. And then you turn into the left-hand lane at Dumpers Road, and then you drive basically into oncoming traffic, and you get hit by a Suburban going the opposite direction. Now, Moses, you have a good driving record?
I would say I have a good driving record. Like I haven't had any like major tickets. I've only had like a registration, like some kind of inspection ticket.
Mind
but
you, this conversation is 2 days into the vehicle accident. He just lost his family. He woke up out of a concussion. He was in a coma. And this investigator, by the way, it's illegal to engage someone in an interrogation when he just woke up out of a coma, a concussion. It's illegal. This whole interview is illegal. And you'll find out when you hear the conversation, this investigator is attempting to steer the conversation in a certain way, and he ends up falsifying Mustafa's statements. Flat out, just falsify it. Listen.
I sold that vehicle. I got the ticket, then I sold the vehicle. So like I was gonna go and like go to the court, but I'm not sure what happened. But I think it stuck on my record for like some kind of like inspection or
Mustafa has
inspection
perfect driving
sticker.
record.
Something happened, but the car was sold at the same day.
Okay.
I'm not
No
sure.
big deal.
Yeah, I don't.
No big deal. So, there's a few things that we've already done. We've written a search warrant to get the little black box out of the car, and of course, it doesn't tell us it's speed. Not at all. And we've already written a search warrant to get the dash cam, and the dash cam shows a story of looks like you're arguing with Dorothy.
That's a lie.
She's crying, and then you turn into the left-hand lane, and then you drive into oncoming traffic.
That's a lie.
The dash cam tells us the story.
That is a
And
flat
I
out
want
lie.
you to tell me your side of the story, because Moses, it's just
Gonna pause it real quick. What this dash camera show is that at one point Mustafa is cleaning the car. Put the camera. This dash camera will show that at one point Mustafa is cleaning the car. It begins with it's about a 30-minute dash camera, 30-minute long. In the beginning, you'll see him cleaning the car, waiting for his girlfriend to get in the car. He's cleaning the car. He's cleaning the inside, the outside of the car. And I'm just going to summarize it for you. It's 30 minutes, so we're not going to play the whole thing right now. But I'm just summarizing the whole thing for you. It began with him cleaning the inside, the outside of the car. He's perfuming his car seat, his girlfriend's seat, 5-year-old Empress seat. He's cleaning the car for them. And at one point, they pull into a 7-Eleven. Inside 7-Eleven, you'll see that Mustafa is buying a cigarette. And he's using a coupon. Actually, let's go through the dash camera. And then what you'll see is this investigator is flat out falsifying the content of the dash camera.
I never take notes now, thanks to AI. I used to leave meetings.
Let's see. So this is the dash camera. Start from the beginning. There we go. Gonna fast forward just a little bit. Okay. You'll see him here cleaning his car. Okay, so this is a dash camera where it begins with him cleaning the car, cleaning the outside, cleaning the inside. And then at one point, you'll see him perfume his car seat, his girlfriend's car seat, and 5-year-old Empress seat. And the question is, when you're watching this dash camera, this investigator wants to lie about the content. Now, mind you, at the time, it's sealed. Even today, this dash camera is sealed. I mean, if it wasn't for a leak within the police department that supplied me with a file where I'm actively leaking this information on the internet, you wouldn't be seeing this dash camera right now. This Commonwealth attorney is terrified from the content of this dash camera. Because what you'll see, she wants you to believe that there is an argument inside the vehicle, that Mustafa steered the vehicle into oncoming traffic like a monster and did this to his family. It's not true. This dash camera shows, I mean, they're charging Mustafa with M1, premeditated. This dash camera shows that the man is sitting there cleaning his car. And you want me to believe that he did this intentionally? So, he's sitting there. At one point, he's washing the car. Inside and outside, he's cleaning the car. He perfumes his seat. He perfumes his girlfriend's seat. He perfumed his 5-year-old Empress seat. You want me to believe that this isn't, he crashed the vehicle on purpose? I mean, I'm watching him cleaning the hell out of his car. There are so many factors in this dash camera that shows this is a vehicle accident. I mean, he later pulls into 7-Eleven. And, I mean, we'll talk about it. I'll fast forward. I'm going to play play-by-play this dash camera. But there are so many factors in this dash camera that shows this is a vehicle accident. So, here is when Dorothy comes into the vehicle. And she has flowers and she's holding flowers. She's putting 5-year-old Empress in a seat. And then she gets back in the vehicle. She's holding flowers. It's her mom's anniversary. It's a very emotional day for Dorothy. And she had asked Mustafa to take her to the cemetery to visit her mom. And she's holding flowers. And she has those plastic flowers. They last longer. Now, Dorothy gets in the vehicle, and you'll see that Mustafa is telling Dorothy to go back and make sure that 5-year-old Empress is buckled in. You'll see him is gesturing to Dorothy to buckle the baby. So she gets out and buckles 5-year-old Empress. Okay. I'm going to rewind just a little bit. So she comes into the vehicle. So Mustafa just got done cleaning the car for them.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Prince William Manassas Jail. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press 1. To prevent your current balance is $13.68. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Mustafa, thank you for being here on this podcast. Hello.
Hello. What's going on, man? What time is it?
It is 11:15, and
that's on the dot.
On the dot. How long do you think you'll have?
As long as the call doesn't get interrupted, I have a full 30 minutes, but my shower is next. So whenever they tell me I have to wrap it up, give or take, maybe I have 20 minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you for sharing the chat. I've got individuals on YouTube. Thank you for sharing the live. Thank you for sharing the chat. Mustafa, thank you for being here on this podcast. Mustafa is tuning in from solitary confinement in our county jail. And Mustafa, I mean, I wish you were here to see what we're doing. I've got the voice of the prosecutor. I've got the dash camera, and we're taking a deep dive into the dash camera. I had the voice of the investigator, Robert Drum. He was the phone call, and we're dissecting everything. I mean, by the way, this train is moving with you or without you. So even if you're not on the call, even if they interrupt the call, we have all of it, and we're dissecting this one piece of information at a time. Mustafa, and we're at a portion, but I am so happy that you're here. Thank you for being on this podcast. And we're watching the dash camera. So we're watching the dash camera where you just got done cleaning the car outside. You're cleaning the inside of the car. You're perfuming your car seat. You're perfuming Dorsey's seat. You're perfuming the back seat. And then we see on the dash camera that Dorothy comes in, puts 5-year-old Empress in a car in a baby seat, and she gets back in the car. She's holding flowers. Now, what we see on the dash camera is that you're gesturing to Dorothy, and then you tell her, to make sure the baby is buckled. So she gets out and she buckles the baby, and then gets back. So this is where we're at right now. Let me just rewind really quick. There we go. This is the part where I was telling everybody. You see that part? Okay, so Mustafa's sitting in the car, and then he's telling Dorothy to go back and make sure the baby is buckled. You know, this is relevant because on the news, all over the news, 2 days, 1 day into the vehicle accident, they put on NBC4. Yeah, 2 days into the vehicle accident, NBC4 runs a clip and says, Mustafa Al-Jazari, investigators say that he crashed the vehicle into oncoming traffic intentionally, and 5-year-old Empress was not buckled in. Now they're painting a monster that this Mustafa did this to this white girl on purpose. And look, he didn't buckle the baby on purpose. And they're lying to the community. You told Dorothy to buckle the baby. But they sealed that body cam at the time. That body cam is sealed. That dash camera is sealed. And they're actively lying to the community. Even today, NBC4, flat out, Julie Carey has the news where she lied to the community.
Well, we bought this child seat from Amazon. There's a timestamp on that child seat. And prior to that, I had to borrow the child seat from my brother, because I didn't have a child seat for safety first inside the car. And I had to borrow my brother's child seat, so he didn't have a child seat for his own daughter, because I took his child seat to ensure that Empress is safe and secured in the car whenever we go out to Walmart or if we go anywhere. In the local area, we always went to Walmart to pick up groceries, and Empress is always with her mom. And I say, hey, Dorothy, we can't drive around with no child seat. We have to have a child seat in the car. So she ordered a child seat from Amazon. That's a timestamp right there.
Well, Mustafa, I have the ex-boyfriend's body cam where he's talking to Investigator Romero. Divine Jones, I have his body cam where he says Dorothy never puts the child in the seat, doesn't have a child seat, blah, and he goes on that his 5-year-old baby never had the seat. I mean, listening to that body cam and listening to what you're saying, I mean, I have evidence that you're the one that got the seat.
100%. I made sure it's safety first, and number two, I made sure the children were registered in school. They never been to school before. You know, it was a first-time experience for them to go to school. So it was very difficult, they have the whole registration for them to go to school. I told Dorothy, I said, if your kids are not in school, you're going to get in trouble for, by law, you have to have the kids registered in school. They have to go to school. So I ensured they're in school. And on that particular day, I ensured there's a child seat and she's buckled in. I made sure safety first. Now, the people that were not wearing a seatbelt is myself and Dorothy. We're not wearing seatbelts.
I mean, the question is, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth wants to accuse you of premeditated doing this on purpose. Wouldn't you think the first thing you do if you were going to do this on purpose is to wear your seatbelt? She says you went into oncoming traffic on purpose. Wouldn't you remove your dash camera that's in the vehicle? I mean, this is not making sense anymore.
And look, I was cleaning off the pollen. There's a lot of pollen. Number one, it's common sense. Let's look at the season. Let's investigate. Look at the season. There were pollen on the car. I was cleaning the car, and then after we left the apartment parking lot, we went where? We went to 7-Eleven to fuel, put gas in the car, and I purchased a pack of Newports, and on top of it, I was trying to save money off of my pack of cigarettes.
I'm going to fast forward, so I'm going to slow down the conversation a little bit. So you get to the 7-Eleven, and let me play. There is a body cam from 7-Eleven where it shows that you were cleaning the car, and you were cleaning that car with a squeegee, where you're doing the hood of the car, the top of the car. You were cleaning the whole entire, not Like, not just windows. You're cleaning the top of the car. I mean, and
I'm trying to make sure the car looks presentable. Like there's no pollen, all this dust. The car looks ugly, so I'm making sure that it's a quick just clean up while I'm waiting there. The gas is being pumped, and I'm doing all that. I'm multitasking, so we don't waste time. And now when I'm out of the car, I'm inside the store. The investigator is claiming Dorothy is crying. I never seen her cry. I never even suspected that she was crying at all. I never thought she was crying at all.
We have a dash camera. We have a dash camera where, I mean, this was an emotional day for Dorothy. You're visiting, she's visiting her mom's grave. The dash camera show that you go into 7-Eleven, and in 7-Eleven, you're sitting there for the cashier is giving you a hard time because of a coupon, and you're sitting there pulling up a coupon, and you're saving $2 off your cigarette. Now, while you're in there, you see a dash camera where Dorothy began to cry, and she stops crying by the time you come back. You had no idea that she lied. I mean, this Mustafa, I'm watching the dash camera. You know, this investigator, when he talks to you, he says, Dorothy began to cry, and then you steered the vehicle into oncoming traffic. That's a lie. I mean, he's combining events. When she begins to cry, you were already inside 7-Eleven. And by the time you come back to the vehicle, she began to stop crying. I mean, you can see Dorothy. It's like she's sitting there, and all of a sudden begins to think about something, and then began to cry a little bit, and then stop. But you had no idea. You were inside 7-Eleven.
Exactly. And
but the way he lies about it, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to cut you off.
This is a body cam where you're cleaning the car from 7-Eleven.
If someone is having an argument, you can see the body gestures of that person, the way they argue, if they're arguing. You can see if they're arguing. Would a person share a cigar or a cigarette or anything with that person they're arguing with? You can tell with common sense. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, or it doesn't take a body language expert. It doesn't need a lip reader. The investigator cut off my audio. My camera has audio 100%.
Mustafa, I want to slow down the conversation. And what you're talking about is a portion in the dash camera where when you're driving, Dorothy is smoking a cigar. And I want to tell everybody when they're watching this dash camera, what Dorothy is smoking is hemp. Hemp is CBD. Hemp is not drugs. It's not marijuana. It's hemp. Dorothy has cancer. And what she's smoking is hemp. It has no drugs in it. And that's why when they did Mustafa's toxicology and when they did Dorothy's toxicology, no drugs, no alcohol. This is hemp. This helps with the cancer. Now, does it make sense? What Mustafa's talking about, does it make sense that she's smoking the cigar and she passes it on to Mustafa? Mustafa smokes it and he passes it back to Dorothy. Does it make sense? If they were arguing, would they be passing back and forth a cigar? No. Now if I was arguing with my partner, I would not be taking a cigar from her. She would not be taking a cigar from me. And I want to go to that portion, Mustafa. I'm going to go to that portion in the dash camera so that way everybody understands what I'm talking about.
On this particular day, there was no argument. You know, like what the investigator is trying to insinuate, he's basically putting in his own narrative into what happened. You know, thank God I have a recording. My brother recorded an audio between myself and the investigator. If we didn't have that recording, it would have been my word against the investigators, the police officer's word, and guess who's going to win? Obviously, the police officer. But in this case, there is an audio recording conversation between myself and the investigator, and he stated that I told him we're arguing in the car. No, I didn't.
This is the part, Mustafa, this is the part where you and Dorothy are passing back and forth the cigar.
Is that an argument when someone is sharing something with you? Is that someone fighting the other person? That's a loving gesture of saying, I want to share something with you. She's sharing it with me, I'm sharing it with her. The hell is the problem?
Now, by
the way, this camera footage was sealed by the judge. There was no way anything on earth that the public would have been able to preview this camera footage. This is a miracle. This is something that you get to see. Where we stop by a 7-Eleven, I'm cleaning up my car, I'm driving. You get to see that. There was no way we would have ever been having this conversation if God did not intervene. We're able to have a discussion now and look at the evidence.
This
See for your own
is
eyes what's going on.
this is a body cam inside 7-Eleven, a CCTV from inside 7-Eleven, where you see Mustafa walk into 7-Eleven, and the register, the person behind the register, is giving Mustafa a hard time by using a coupon. So Mustafa is sitting there pulling up a coupon to save $2 off his pack of Newports. Now the question is, the Commonwealth attorney wants to say this is premeditated, that he did this on purpose. Doesn't make sense that you're going to crash your vehicle on purpose, but 5 minutes earlier, you're trying to save $2 off your pack of cigarettes?
I didn't even get to smoke my cigarettes. I didn't even get to open my pack of cigarettes. I'm over here saving $2 off of the pack of cigarettes, and the original coupon is in my email. Now, the coupon that I'm using, it's like a snapshot.
And when we zoom in, we can actually see the coupon, Mustafa.
Yeah, I'm going to the original coupon. I got to log in. And Dorothy's telling me, like, we have to hurry up before the sun goes down, and then you can't enter the grave site. If the sun goes down, then they're going to close it down. It's after hours. So I'm being mindful that I got to hurry up, get the coupon. The clerk is telling me you got to get the original coupon. I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to save this $2. That's what's going on there.
Now I have
And then
another. Yeah, Mustafa. I have
get the
another.
coupon.
Go ahead. I have another body cam, a CCTV from 7-Eleven, where it shows that you're washing the car with a squeegee, and then at one point, you're sitting there washing 5-year-old Empress's hands. Okay? Now, the dash camera inside the vehicle showed that you bought her candy, and then the CCTV from outside the vehicle shows that you're sitting there washing the car, and then you wash her hands, and then you go back and get some napkins, you dry off her hands. The question is, yeah, I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
You have to go.
Good night, Mom. Tell everybody good night, and we're going to continue tomorrow.
I love you, Mustafa. You take care, and we'll talk tomorrow.
What time is it?
It is 11:30. Mustafa.
30? All right.
Whether you're on the phone, you're not on the phone, the train is moving. With you or without you, this conversation is moving. We have everything, and we're dissecting this case. The prosecutor is in a lot of trouble. I love you. You take care of yourself. You take care of yourself. We'll take care of everything on the outside. This community is wide awake. I love you, man.
I love you too. Tell everybody say good night. Yo, my son. All right, take care. I'm going to call you tomorrow. Good night, my son.
You take care, okay? Love you.
All right, yo, take care.
Habibi Enta. Habibi Enta means I love you in Arabic. I love you, man. You take care, okay?
Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
This is Mustafa tuning in from solitary confinement. He's been in solitary confinement for over 2 years. They beat him, they abused him, they denied him medical inside the jail. We have the CCTV from what they did to Mustafa inside the jail. And I tell Mustafa when we end the phone call, Habibi Enta. Habibi Enta is a commonly used word in Arabic. I love you. This prosecutor, this Commonwealth attorney, I don't know what they're doing, to be honest with you. They profiled this family, they profiled Mustafa, and I'll tell you, they're finding out that they profiled the wrong family. They probably thought just another Arab family that we get to do whatever we want. We've done it before, we can do it again. Well, I'm here to tell you, this is not your boring Arabic family. This is not just another boring Arabic family. We're fighting back, and you think we're Arabic. I'm here to tell you, we're more American than you'll ever be. My dad did civilian contracts in Iraq. I did civilian contracts in Iraq. We've served this country. When I got back, I started a company dedicated for the Marines that get stuck on base. We've done a lot for this country. I'm here to tell you, we're gonna fight back. We're actively fighting back. Yeah, you send us a lawyer that took our money. But now you're realizing that even that when this family does not have money, I'm a paralegal, my brother Muhammad is a paralegal, Mustafa is a paralegal. And we're writing up our own motions and we're fighting back in court. We're very well versed in the law and we know how to represent ourselves. That, yeah, when the county's coming after us, trying to silence our voice, we're fighting back. And we're going to continue to fight back. On that note, before we dive back into everything, I want to remind everybody, Mustafa has a legal fund. It's a Cash App. It's Mustafa's Legal Funds. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's literally a Cash App that you can donate into. Mustafa's phone is expensive. Every 3 days, it's $50. That's not counting the commissary. This is Mustafa's Cash App. Simple. It's a Cash App that you can donate into. It's literally Mustafa Legal Fund. You put a dollar sign in front of it. That's how you can donate into Mustafa's Legal Fund. I want to specifically thank Farah. Farah, I love you, ma'am. You have no idea how much it helps when you donate into Mustafa's Legal Fund. I want to thank Bustos for upgrading our equipment. That beautiful woman is upgrading our equipment. So, you know, the Commonwealth Attorney is terrified from this community. They're sending us lawyers that take our money. Behind closed doors, they're working with them. They want to corner us in a situation where you have no money, no funds, and you can't fight back. But the community is coming through. The community is here. And not only they're donating into Mustafa's Legal Fund, they're upgrading our equipment. I mean, when I talk about what Bustos is doing when I talk about equipment, I'm talking about the difference between, the media is in their pocket. I mean, what is essentially the biggest problem that we have with the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? We have every piece of evidence that show that they've lied. But because the media is not here, they think that it's falling on deaf ears. That's what they think. They don't realize that change is coming. I mean, our voice is being heard. We're going in front of the Department of Justice. We have a platform. We're on social media. Yeah, the media is in their pocket. You know, when Trump says fake news, yes, I'm here to tell you, it is fake news. I mean, this is what they said about Mustafa on day one. Two days into the vehicle accident, they put out this clip on the news.
Investigators say the two were not wearing seatbelts, and Empress was also not properly.
As soon as I got the help, I went inside the car. I heard a lady scream.
What did they just say? 5-year-old Empress was not wearing a seatbelt? What is this witness on a body cam saying?
To the child in the back. Okay. So my attention first went to the child, went in the back, so 2 hours in the child.
She wearing a seatbelt?
She was wearing a seatbelt.
Okay.
She was in a high chair wearing a seatbelt.
This is the witness on the scene that says she was wearing a seatbelt. I'm the one that cut the seatbelt off. Listen to what NBC4 says.
Investigators say the two were not wearing seatbelts, and Empress was also not properly.
As soon as they got off the hill, I went inside the car. I heard a lady scream. I took a child in the back. Okay. So my attention first went to the child, went in the back, started triaging the child.
She wearing a seatbelt?
She was wearing a seatbelt. Okay. She was in a high chair wearing a seatbelt. I ended up cutting the seatbelt.
She was in a high chair wearing a seatbelt. I ended up cutting the chair. This is the dash camera that shows Mustafa is the one that's telling Dorothy to make sure that 5-year-old Empress is buckled. But what did they do? They lied to the community. They flat out lied to the community. And now our biggest problem is the media. I mean, the minute this case, they shed light on what they're doing, Mustafa's coming home. The only reason they're getting away with what they're doing is because there is no media here. Our social media is a small outlet, but it's growing. And this is what they're terrified from. That they're literally sending our own lawyer, mechanizing that lawyer to make sure to silence me. But she's not going to win. I have evidence that she lied. I promise you, by the time I'm done with that lawyer, the lawyer that they're mechanizing to come after me, Elaine Jarvis, she's going to be in jail. I want to thank Bustos, because what Bustos is doing with upgrading our equipment is a difference between upgrading this platform. I mean, we're talking about equipment that's very sophisticated. You're going to have 2 angles when we go live. We're going to be able to embed these body cams into the live, where instead of me bringing a cell phone to bring it close. I mean, you're talking about sophisticated equipment. And that's the difference between high-grade mics, softwares. I mean, this is a beautiful system. And I want to thank that beautiful lady for doing that for Mustafa. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Casey, Missy, Becky, and everybody that I forgot to mention their name. There's a lot of people that are watching what's happening here. And the Commonwealth Attorney is terrified. I mean, we played a portion of The Voice in the bond hearing. We're going to continue every time we go live. We're going to continue to dissect what this investigator is talking about. We watched the dash camera and how this investigator is flat out lying about the content of the dash camera. We're going to go back really quick and listen to the phone call between him and the investigator. So he says, I saw the dash camera. Lori, I love you, ma'am. Thank you for being there. I mean, listen to what this investigator is telling Mustafa. At the time, it's sealed. Mustafa just came out from a major concussion, major accident. This is 2 days into the conversation. And he's steering the conversation in a certain way. And the investigator ends up falsifying. He ends up falsifying Mustafa's statements. He says, you told me that you were arguing inside the vehicle. This is what the police report says. We posted this. It says Mustafa stated he was arguing with Dorothy inside the vehicle. Mustafa stated he was angry at Dorothy inside the vehicle. That's what Drum wrote in his police report. And that's what essentially took Mustafa's freedom away. That's on the warrant, by the way. On the warrant in the police report. And you'll hear the prosecutor in the bond hearing argue and make the case that the investigator, Mustafa told the investigator that he was arguing inside the vehicle. And then Casey Stephen comes through and he says, no, he didn't. I have an audio, and then sabotages the case by playing the wrong portion. To where the judge is like, well, you're not playing anything for me. And he's absolutely right. The lawyer played the wrong portion. Listen to the conversation.
I want to believe that you're a human being, and none of this was done on purpose, and that this was just a true accident. But can you tell me why the dash cam shows what it shows?
What did he just say? I mean, he just described exactly what is happening in the dash camera. It looks like you are trying to pass the vehicle in front of him. When you watch the dash camera, you'll see that Dorothy is gesturing to Mustafa, giving him direction. And they're running late. The cemetery closes, and Dorothy is telling him, Mustafa's not familiar with that road. His cell phone is being used to listen to music. The boombox in the back is hooked up to his cell phone, so he's relying on Dorothy to give him direction. And she's giving him direction, so he attempts to pass the vehicle in front of him. He takes a lane, and then realizes that this is a U-turn. It's not a regular lane. But by then, it was already too late. Because he's going, speed limit is 55. He's going speed limit. But 55, at that rate, he couldn't get back to traffic because the vehicle on his right blocked him from going back. There's a medium in front of him. There's a sidewalk, a medium, and a sign in front of him. And this prosecutor wants to say that he steered into oncoming traffic. That is not true. The dash camera, when he slowed it down, you'll see that Mustafa ends up in oncoming traffic. It's not steering the wheel into oncoming. No. The lane ends, and he ends up in oncoming traffic. Now, the computer inside the dash camera showed that everybody shifts forward. Mustafa hits the brake. When he found himself in that position, he tried to get back into traffic. He couldn't get back because there's a vehicle that blocks him. He hits the brake. The vehicle doesn't stop. The police mechanic inspected the vehicle and found out that the vehicle did not stop. This is what the police mechanic showed. He hits the brake. The brake did not engage. Mustafa had 2 calipers out of 4 that was working. So the other 2 did not work. So the vehicle got to drop from 55 to 35, but it wouldn't stop, and he runs out of lane. There are skid marks from Mustafa's brake. From Mustafa hitting the brake. There are skid marks. 1 skid mark. Because only 2 calipers worked. We have pictures of the skid mark. But they lie and say there are no skid marks. The witnesses say that they saw that Mustafa was trying to pass the vehicle in front of him. The investigator just said Mustafa was trying to pass the vehicle in front of him. The witnesses say that there are brake marks. I mean, Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. This is what... Listen to this. Okay, so this is a body cam where they inspect Mustafa's vehicle and the brake didn't engage. So he's telling Mustafa, it looked like you're passing the vehicle in front of him. Let's continue listening to Investigator Drum.
And then you ended up driving it off for having a physical impairment, a seizure, diabetic emergency. It shows it looks like you get a little frustrated, like you wanted to pass the vehicle. Then you ended up driving into oncoming traffic.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It was, I'm trying to, remember if, there was a car next to me, that was, either merging onto my lane or I'm trying to move to the other lane. I'm not sure what happened, but all I know is that I was driving straight and she was crying because,
are you
something about she wanted to go to the graveyard, but she didn't have a driver's license. Her car wasn't working. She wanted me to go with her, and something happened. I cooked for the kids. I cooked I cooked them a lot of eggs and I made them some good food.
By the way, everything that Mustafa says, we have the Googleness inside the apartment that shows it. Everything that he just talked about, we're gonna go into details. It shows we have the Googleness inside the apartment.
Everybody ate. Everybody was okay, and then we were supposed to go and take all the kids, the 2 boys and Empress. We're going to take all 3 kids and leave the 14-year-old. He was going to go hang out with his friend at his friend's house. So his friend came over, and then the 14-year-old was going to go just hang out with his friend. And then we were going to take all the boys to go see Grandma. you know, like it was her birthday, and then at that moment, she told me that she's only gonna take Empress, and the boys are gonna clean the house. So Imagine was gonna clean the house, and when we came back, you know, I was gonna fix his phone screen. That was like, you know, I had plans, like, you know, where I'm gonna fix his phone for him, and you know, everybody's gonna be happy. And as we're driving, like, I don't know what happened. Like, it was so sudden. Like, all I see is like a flashing white light. Like I don't know. And then I wake up like in the hospital or in and out. I can hear some people like, I think it's the nurses or something. I'm not sure what was going on, but like I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened.
Okay. So, Moses, do you have kids yourself?
No, sir.
Okay.
But,
do you want to have kids yourself?
You know, honestly, I would love to have a kid. Like, these kids are like flesh. You know, they have a personality. They're just beautiful.
We have the Google Nest inside the apartment that show it's a beautiful relationship. We have the forensic interviews from the police that they weaponized those kids against Mustafa, lied to police. The police lied to kids with the help of the ex-boyfriend and the neighbor. We have evidence that they weaponized kids. What does that mean? They lied to the kids. A 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 14. They told them that Mustafa did this on purpose, that Mustafa ran away, left your 5-year-old baby sister, and if he hadn't ran away, we could have saved your sister. They're weaponizing the kid. This is not true. Mustafa was in a coma. Mustafa was helicoptered to the hospital. That never happened. But they're weaponizing those kids against Mustafa. And we have evidence. The Commonwealth Attorney, this police department, is in trouble because we have the forensic interview that show what they did to the kids. And that's child abuse. That's child abuse. To weaponize kids in their most vulnerable state. They just lost their mother. Kids that love Mustafa. To take away that person out of their life because you're targeting Mustafa. Mustafa had a $500,000 lawsuit before the vehicle accident. You have police get on the scene, began to target and turn this vehicle accident, that you have every piece of evidence that it is a vehicle accident, into premeditated M1. Weaponize kids against Mustafa. This is a crime in progress. And the Commonwealth Attorney is going to be held accountable.
Wonderful beings. So I basically took part in taking that initiative as being like their father figure, and from there I just like started cooking for them and just caring for them and like buying them clothes and gifts and incentives, and I mean it was all new to me, you know, but I loved like every bit of it, you know, just like putting
So, what? Your facial expression in the car, what were you upset about?
Well, something about okay, so when I met Dorothy, she was living in the hotel rooms, like hotels with the kids.
Yeah.
And previous to that, she was living with this guy named Glenn, and he lives in Foxlair. So he lives in that subdivision, right? So he lives in the apartment next to our apartment. So when Dorothy moved into that apartment, we were supposed to get the up the hill location, but I didn't know anything about this, by the way. Like I didn't know anything, so I didn't know anything about. All I know is that there's an ex-boyfriend named Glenn. I don't know the guy, never talked to him. All I know is that she told me that in the cold, like when it was freezing outside and cold. He had like another girlfriend and a baby on the side, and like he was cheating on her, and he threw them out like in the street. That's why they're living in the hotels. So I hear that story, like I'm thinking like, okay, so like he threw you guys out in the street, whatever. that's not nice. So when she got her place, it turns out like instead of getting the apartment like up the hill, because I think there was like some kind of renovations or whatever, so they gave her the apartment right there at the apartment 204. So a few days ago, what was it, like before the accident, like a few days ago, we had an argument about, what was it? The argument was, like this person that's like standing right there in the balcony, like, he's like smoking a cigarette and all that, whatever, right? Like he knows me or he knows about me, but I actually had no idea whatsoever who this person is. I thought it was just a regular neighbor, like a regular person, just like, smoking a cigarette. So a few days ago, it was like an argument about how come I wasn't like in the loop, like, like how come you never told me that this is Glenn, like the person, like why are we moving into like a place, like, like you're situating yourself in an apartment where she signed a year lease. So I was like, why would you situate yourself in a place next to this person that you were, talking about, like he threw you in the street in the cold and left your kids freezing and like was horrible and cheated on you and all that. So like, how come I wasn't in the loop? So that's what the argument was about. And then when I find that out, I decided to just leave. I said, you know what, I'm just going to leave. Because like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't even know what I walked into. So I was...
That's what the argument was about in the car?
No, that was like a few days ago, like before.
Did you hear what he just asked him? Okay. Was this the argument? What about in the car? Was this argument in the car? He's like, no, this is a few days ago, before the car accident. And he told investigator Drum, a few days ago, before the accident, 3 times. 3 times. He told him, this is before the vehicle accident. And what Mustafa is going through, you can clearly tell from the conversation that Mustafa's not all there. He's scattered. I mean, he just came out from a major vehicle accident. He was in a concussion. He was in a coma. He lost his family. His family in that vehicle accident. I mean, this is a major situation that he just came out of 2 days ago. And you're sitting there as an investigator and interrogating him. I mean, you can clearly tell that he's scattered. And he's clearly telling you this is before the vehicle accident. Doesn't even understand what the investigator was asking him. He began to tell him his whole life story. And he tells him about this ex-boyfriend that he doesn't know, that the ex-boyfriend, I mean, we have evidence that Mustafa doesn't know the investigator. I mean, like, the ex-boyfriend, he says, Mustafa doesn't know me. He tells Mustafa, I moved into this apartment. Mustafa's relationship is 3 months long. He moved into the apartment with Dorothy 2 months into the relationship. And apparently Dorothy got the apartment before it was already set where the ex-boyfriend is living in the same building. Okay. As a boyfriend, girlfriend, they talked about it. And he asked her, he's like, why is your ex-boyfriend living in the same complex? She says, it's before, it was done before I met you. It's not intentional. It was just, okay, and you understand. He says, okay, all right. We worked it out. before the vehicle accident. Now, let's continue listening. So he clearly tells this investigator the argument that we had, the disagreement, not really an argument. This is not an argument. This is a conversation. The conversation I had with my partner, it was before the accident. We talked about it and we understood that there's nothing to it. Investigator falsified Mustafa's statement and he says, "You told me you were arguing inside the car." That's in the police report. "You told me that you were angry at your girlfriend inside the vehicle." And then when the investigator asked him, you'll hear in this audio, "Did this happen inside the car?" Mustafa began telling him, no, there was no argument inside the car. I'm telling you about something that happened before the car accident.
Before the car.
What are you arguing about in the car?
Okay. Let me just tell you. So I'm just giving you like a little background so I can lead to that.
I'm giving you a little background before we talk.
I was gonna leave. She stopped me.
I'm giving you a background. It's telling him about.
She told me like she loves me, and like I saw it, like it was not like malicious or intentional that she was trying to hurt me or anything. So I forgave her, and I said, okay, I'll stay. Yeah. So she drove off in her car. She drove off to like somewhere in Springfield. That's what she told me, but I'm not sure. But she said she drove that direction, and then she drove to like the opposite direction, and then she called me. I was just parked. Like I'm like, okay, smoking a cigarette. I don't know what to do. Like I don't know. Like I love this girl, and I don't want to leave, but I was really upset at the fact that I was in the loop of like I'm next to the person that she was talking about in that place. And then I forgave her, and I said, okay, I'll stay. And then the day of the accident, where I woke up in the afternoon, and then it was like an argument back and forth relating to that. So it was just back and forth about that same stuff, like about the guy next door. And I've never talked to him before until that night. After I got the kids over to the neighbor, I want to make sure they're okay. That's when I like saw him face to face, and he was like caring, he was looking out for the kids. But
so he's even talking nicely about the ex-boyfriend, saying he's a there's nothing wrong with him. He's a nice guy. He's like, we talked about it. Why is the ex-boyfriend living in the same complex? We talked about it. We worked it out. And everything's good. I don't know the guy. I've never met him. And then when I met him after the accident, I've never met him before, but I ran into him after the vehicle accident. There's when Mustafa comes out from the hospital, the guy is there. Mustafa didn't even know him. Is there an argument inside the car? No.
I don't remember like us arguing in the car. I don't remember any of that. I don't remember arguing. We were good. She sent me.
You see what he just told him? He said, I don't remember arguing in the car. There's no argument inside the car. Casey Stephen played that portion and didn't play the whole thing. There's a big difference where you say, I don't remember. There's an argument, and just leave it at that. Cut the audio. Versus saying, listen.
She sent me like some amount to like put gas in the car. So like we were good. And she was, if anything, if she was crying, I would say like maybe like it was getting dark or something. I'm not sure. Like the graveyard closes at a certain time. Like I think they close by like 8 p.m. or something or whatever. It's like, and then they kick you out if like the gate's shut. I'm not sure how the graveyard works. I've only been there one time with her, and like it was at night as well, but I'm not sure if they have like a strict policy or not. I don't know how the gates operate. But
okay, so the dash cam in the car, is that yours?
Yes, sir.
Why do you have a dash cam? That's like DoorDash stuff.
Yeah, I DoorDash. Like in case like an accident or anything happens.
By the way, it's on the dash camera.
You know,
Well, Mustafa DoorDash.
anything. Like,
You know how the dash cam works?
I just plug it in and it turns on. Like,
You know how long the videos are saved for?
I really don't know. I think like maybe 2 days, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you DoorDash last?
DoorDash, let's see. When did I DoorDash? I don't know.
Okay. So, I don't remember anything about the crash.
I have DoorDash recently, by the way, but I don't remember. I don't remember when. Like what it was like. Like I.
Let me ask you this question. So, you have a mom, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You ever been in trouble with your mom? Your mom asked you a question that you knew your mom already knew the answer to, and she was waiting to see if you were going to tell the truth. So, I'm there right now.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot about you I already know. And again, I want to believe you're a good human being, and I think a mistake was made. Have you ever tried to scare your girlfriend by driving in oncoming traffic before?
I would never in my life or in any shape, way, or form ever put like the person that I love or I care about or any human being or even anything in harm's way. Like anything. I would never ever do that. And this person means the world to me.
Okay, Moses. There is a dash cam video pointing at the front of the car and inside the car. The dash cam video shows you arguing with your girlfriend.
Flat out lying.
I don't.
Flat out lie about the content.
I don't remember arguing.
I don't remember arguing. And then he tells him there is no argument. Listen.
Okay. All right. Well, having a discussion.
Yes, sir.
And she was getting upset, and it just shows you turning into the left-hand lane.
That is absolutely a lie.
No braking.
He's falsifying the content.
Driving in the oncoming traffic. I'm trying to figure out why.
I don't know. Why would I do that? Like I would never.
I don't know. All I know is people tell me what you're telling me.
I would never ever do that. Like, okay, I'll tell you right now. Like, do you know what happened to me? Like, you know how bad that sounds. Like I just lost I don't know how to put it in words, but I lost someone very dear to me. And the daughter, like the girl, like she was very special to me. I really cared for every single person that was like right there within my circle. Like
Are you available to? I want to show you the video, and then hopefully that might make some sense.
Yes,
Does that help?
Yeah. Yes, sir. If you can show me like the video, maybe it'll remind me because I don't remember.
Can you come? Let's see. Are you available tonight?
Sure. Where?
Or tonight or tomorrow? What works better for you?
I mean, if you need me tonight, let's look at it and figure it out. But like,
if you want to meet me at do you know where Garfield Police Station is?
Not sure, but if I know the address, I can just put it in my GPS.
Yep, Garfield Police Station.
By the way, the investigator refused to sit down with Mustafa. And now we know why he refused to sit down with Mustafa. Because he flat out falsified Mustafa's statements. He put the conversation that he had with Mustafa telling him before the vehicle accident. He's telling him, before the vehicle accident, me and Dorothy, we talked about the ex-boyfriend situation. He takes that situation, Investigator Drum, and he says, you told me, you said that in the vehicle. I mean, it's obvious. Mustafa's telling the investigator, what are you talking about? There is no argument. We were not arguing. As a matter of fact, there's a dash camera that we have that shows there is no argument. But this investigator falsified Mustafa's statements. And that's what took Mustafa's freedom away. A falsified warrant, a falsified police report, and if it wasn't for this audio, if it wasn't for us having a dash camera, this investigator could have gotten away with it. Well, we're going to continue to have a conversation. We're going to continue to demand justice for Mustafa. The battery is running out, so I have to end this podcast. When we come back, we're going to continue to listen to the bond hearing, and in that bond hearing, you're going to hear two things where the defense attorney who stole the money sabotaged the case by playing the wrong portion in the audio where Mustafa is telling the investigator, there is no argument inside the vehicle. I was not arguing inside the vehicle. And he repeated, Mustafa repeated it like six times. So you can't say that this investigator misunderstood what Mustafa's talking about. The audio is clear. This investigator knows what he's doing. He falsified the statements. And he never thought that my brother Muhammad was recording, that there's going to be a recording, that this dash camera is going to get released. They never thought that far. He thought he's talking to someone that just came out of a coma, that came out of a concussion, and he's just going to falsify his police report. When we come back, we're going to continue listening to the bond hearing of Sarah Sammy inside the courts, and we're going to continue to dissect this case. Sarah! Sarah! I've got your voice, prosecutor. And if you're going to take anything away from this podcast, take away the Alice in Wonderland and the Bobcat when Sarah Sammy, Alice in Wonderland, is going down this rabbit hole and sees a Bobcat. And she's telling the Bobcat, what should I do? Well, I don't know what you're going to do, Sarah. But I'll tell you what's going to happen is that you're going to jail. Mustafa's coming home, and you're going to jail. On that note, thank you for being in this podcast. Laurie, before I end the podcast, I read the text. I read the chat. Please follow us on Facebook. I don't know if you are following us on Facebook. It's under Free Mustafa Al-Jazari. I'll add you to the group chat, and so that way you're part of the conversation. On that note, thank you for joining this podcast. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa, through the police body cam, Judge Carol Weimer, under the microscope.